the CineSnob Podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 350 of the CineSnob Podcast. My name is Cody Villafana, and I'm joined this week by Kiko Martinez and Jocelyn Durand, and we are at a nice round number of 350, and that's about the only celebration we're going to do there. I only celebrate hundreds. I don't do half hundreds, so This is just another day at work for me.
Well, Jocelyn brought balloons. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I got you these big balloons. It's so embarrassing now.
Yeah, well, it's not as embarrassing as having Valentine's Day balloons hanging a week into March, but you know
they're like haunting my house. They kind of just float around.
Yeah, one time I got so scared. I don't know what it was, maybe a birthday balloon, but it went from the bottom floor and it rose up to the top floor and just was following like through the hallway, and then it came in like almost came into the room where I was at and scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, that sounds like a good horror movie idea.
Well, you didn't see the post that I just posted? I got scared of a cereal box this past week.
That.
The back of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch box has the face of the Cinnamon Toast character, but like a big face of it. And whoever put it, I guess my son put it in the pantry with the back of it facing me. So when I turned on the lights, it was just staring at me, and I got scared.
It's like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're safe from the cereal box and it didn't haunt
killers.
you and kill you. Yeah, nice. So this upcoming week is this is going to be our we're going to taking a break next week because next week is going to be the next edition of South by Southwest, and I am stepping in because I want to just provide a quick preview of the festival. This year is going to be actually different than previous years. So previously the way that it's worked is like the festival will start with film, and then as film kind of slows down throughout the week, the music festival will start. Film and tech start together, and then the back half of the festival is for music. This year, South by is 6 days altogether. So they've shortened it. I think it's usually like 10 or 11 days. It's now only 6 days. And then just logistically, the convention center is closed for remodeling for the next several years, and I believe this is the first year where the convention center won't be like the hub of South by Southwest. The entire tech conference is in there. The biggest panels are in there, the keynote addresses, and that's all going to be spread around downtown Austin now. So will be interesting to see the logistics of it all, but nonetheless I'm still excited for another edition. And yeah, in terms of previews, I just wanted to highlight a few things that I'm looking forward to amongst some different categories. So the headliner category, South by is not the only festival that does this. Fantastic Fest does it. Austin Film Festival to some degree. But this year, a lot of the headliners are just movies that are basically opening in like a month or less. And so I kind of like skip those a lot of the time. However, there are a few that I am looking forward to. First and foremost, there's a film called Over Your Dead Body, directed by Jorma Taccone, who is a 1/3 of The Lonely Island. And this is a remake of a Norwegian movie called The Trip, a movie that I can't recall. It played at Fantastic Fest, but I don't remember if I saw it there. But it's a remake of that movie, starring Jason Segel and Samara Weaving, Timothy Olyphant, Juliette Lewis, a nice cast, about a couple basically who goes to a remote cabin under the impression that they're going to reconnect, but each is actually planning to kill one another while they are there. So should be...
I love that premise. That's great.
Should be a good movie there. The other headliner that I'm really looking forward to is Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Now, this one I actually will be seeing there, and we'll probably be covering it the next episode that we do, but this is the sequel to Ready or Not, really one of my favorite like thriller, it's kind of horror adjacent, but mostly thriller movies of the last several years. A movie I think is just insanely fun, and I'm really excited to see. It's the same team, so what I'm hoping for is that they're able to kind of recapture the fun of that. In the narrative competition, there's a movie called Cinder, and I'm mostly excited about that one because of the cast. It's like, I always find it interesting when like big TV actors make the leap to movies and like seeing how that translates. And the two top billed cast members on this movie called Cinder are Britt Lower and Ray Seahorn. Britt Lower from why am I blanking? Severance. and Ray Seahorn from Better Call Saul and Pluribus. So I'm excited to see how they translate to the big screen in their performances. There is also a couple of others in the narrative spotlight, one of which is a movie that is about a very famous fast food tale of recent years. The movie, this will give it away by the title. The movie is called Chili Finger, and it is the movie.
I knew immediately.
The movie of famously the famous story about the woman who found a severed finger in her Wendy's chili. They have made a movie of that, and about her blackmailing the restaurant for a cash payout. And
was it a real finger that she found?
It was, but she put it.
She
there.
bought it. Yeah. She supplied the finger.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
there's questions about how and where she got it and all that.
Yeah.
So I heard a true crime podcast about it. Of course.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but check out this.
It's a funny story.
Check out this the first four cast members because it's super interesting. So the woman is played by Judy Greer, who I think has not had many leading film roles, but is always great and everything. Sean Astin, Bryan Cranston, and John Goodman are the top leading.
That is like character actor
Yeah.
legends.
Does Sean Astin
Back
play
to
the
back.
husband?
I believe so.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's nice. Okay.
yeah. So I'm excited about Chili Finger for sure.
What a great name.
Yeah, I mean you get everything you need in the title, right?
Literally.
So there's and then there's some other stuff like Maud Apatow. Her directorial debut is going to be at the festival called Poetic License, starring Leslie Mann, her mom.
Wait, the little girl, Maud Apatow?
Well, she's like in her 20s now.
Oh.
The Euphoria actress.
Yeah. Leslie Mann, Cooper Hoffman is in it as well. And then the other movie that I really, really want to see is a movie called Power Ballad. And this is the new film from John Carney, who directed Once, Sing Street, Begin Again, all the music-related movies. And this one is about a talented but past his prime wedding singer and a young rock star who uses the wedding singer's songwriting prowess to revitalize his own career. The young rock star is played by Nick Jonas, and the past his prime wedding singer is Paul Rudd. So,
All right. You got me at Paul.
yeah. So, I mean, I think at minimum, John Carney's films are always really entertaining. His last one I didn't love as much, Flora and Son, the one with Eve Hewson and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But I really liked most of everything he's done. I really love, I mean, obviously Once is incredible. I love Sing Street. And then I really like Begin Again as well. So hopefully he's able to, recapture that magic, have good original music in it. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So, those are just a few of my top movies, but there's also stuff like there's a new Joe Swanberg movie coming out. Kiko, I know that you're a fan of some of his stuff.
Yeah, some of his stuff. I know he's a festival darling. I mean, usually his stuff gets into stuff like South by and Sundance. So
now, yes, but he also hasn't made a movie in like 6 years, and really, he's only made 2 movies in like the last 10 years. So he's kind of slowed down his production. But I think one of my favorites of his is Drinking Buddies. I think that one is really, really good. But he's kind of like this is like mumblecore type stuff.
Yeah, for a while I thought he was going to be like another Duplass brother, but it didn't. I guess didn't come that way.
The Duplass brothers kind of passed him on that kind of thing. But this is an encouraging one. It's stars Dakota Fanning, Jake Johnson, and hopefully again a return to form for him. And so that's going to be some of the films I'm checking out at South by, and I'll be able to talk a little bit more about a few of those as I see them. But
he did Win It All. I really liked Win
yeah.
It All. I think that that people thought it was overrated, but I really liked that movie a lot.
And
with Jake Johnson,
awesome.
yes.
Oh, he was in that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I had problems
love
with
him.
with the Anna Kendrick storyline of that movie, but yeah.
That might have been a film where I had a.
Oh wait,
Festival Blinders.
I'm confusing 2 movies.
Are you?
I'm confusing that with the other Jake Johnson movie. What was that? I also saw Self-Reliance. That's the one I saw. That was the one that Jake Johnson made.
Win It All is the one with the bag of money.
Yes, that one is good. Yes, both of them premiered at South by, so I conflated the two.
I think most of his stuff does, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so that'll do it for this week, and why don't we go ahead and get on to reviews?
Here are this week's reviews.
So first up this week, we have Hoppers. Hoppers is the new Pixar movie directed by Daniel Chong, who this is his first. I think he's made like a made-for-TV animated movie, but his first movie that he's directed, feature length that he's directed, and the movie is about a 19-year-old animal lover who uses technology that places her consciousness into a robotic beaver to uncover mysteries within the animal world beyond her imagination. So on this podcast, previously with Jared and maybe even a couple of times without, we've been talking a little bit about Pixar and how Pixar seems to be in a little bit of a slump where they've been making a lot of very like mediocre movies over the past several years. There's some decent stuff in there, but Toy Story 4 was a little underwhelming. Onward was definitely underwhelming. Luca was okay. Lightyear was not very good. Elemental didn't really work. So it's they've had a couple of decent movies in there, but nowhere near the sort of reputation that they had, where everything that you could expect from them was great.
I think Soul was probably the closest that people would get
That it got back to.
but that was 6 years ago.
It was 6 years ago.
Pandemic.
Yeah, it was a while, and so
Was
this
Elio Pixar also?
Yes.
Yeah, another one that was like kind of very forgettable.
A very mid movie for sure. So this film is, and I think the biggest thing is that sometimes Pixar gets a little bit too heady with their concepts, and I almost think that is addressed head on in this movie, where there's a point where they're explaining what's going on, and the character is like pointing like this went into this and stuff like that. And I think that maybe it's not, maybe this is me making it up and making a connection, but I feel like that can be a direct like rebuttal to the idea of like, this is not some highly complex movie. It's a pretty simple thing, and not some like crazy thing like Elemental that gets completely or even like Inside Out to some degree that gets like
And
overly
Elio.
complicated.
Elio,
Elio, yeah.
with the freaking alien councils, and it was like, what?
Yeah. So this is a straightforward, just like animal lover is trying to save this wildlife kind of preserve from a highway being built from a very greedy politician. And she ends up finding this program where you're able to get your consciousness into like a robotic animal. She befriends the animals, tries to get them to save this area, and then that's the adventure. And yeah, I mean, I think for starters, I think that the voice cast of the movie is really good. I actually I think everyone in here is really strong. In particular, Bobby Moynihan as King George, the Beaver King, I think is really great in it. Piper Curda as Mabel, the main character, is really great. John Hamm as the mayor is also really great. So I think it's got a really strong voice cast across the board. And then you can pick out like some voices that you hear throughout, like, Vanessa Bayer as the shark was very obvious, and Dave Franco is very obvious in there too.
Meryl Streep,
yep. And I don't know. I mean, I think this film is like extremely endearing, and I think that that's the thing that kind of really makes it work for me. It gives you this setup of the child, connecting with her grandmother through nature, and then her grandmother passes away, and like this grandmother is sort of like a guiding light for her in like managing her emotions and her connection with nature. And I think that they utilize flashbacks really well to where it feels like it's really strengthening the connection in the story, rather than feeling like, trying to pull and tug on manipulative strings to get a reaction from the audience. I think the adventure elements work really well. I think it's got a lot of like really funny stuff in it. It has a couple of like kind of dark jokes that happen in the movie that I think are unexpected and entertaining. I think that it has a really sweet central relationship between, you know, Mabel, the character who's into the robotic beaver, and King George, the sort of actual beaver. And I think that it does an okay job of sort of like explaining the technology that allows them to eventually interact. And yeah, I mean, I think that this is a really solid Pixar movie. I was trying to think back, and I believe that this is probably the best Pixar movie since Coco back in 2017. It's better than anything that they've put out in recent years. I think it's really enjoyable. I really like the adventure elements of it. I think that the humor works really well. I think the story in the middle of it is really sweet. I think the connection is really great. And I think also, you know, it's got some thematic stuff that really works. You know, the sort of, you know, this is one of the few Pixar movies that jumps into like environmentalism as a topic here, about, you know, like saving wildlife and the connection between, you know, humans and animals, and you know, taking sort of like, you know, a stance against, you know, paving nature in order to create highways and stuff like that. So I actually think that those messages really work. I think that it is not, you're not bashed over the head with the message, but it still connects in, you know, a really sort of memorable way. So I had a good time with this. I think it's solid. I don't think it's like up there with the best Pixar I've ever seen, but it is better than almost everything that they've put out in the last decade. And
even Inside Out 2?
I didn't see Inside Out 2, but I heard that it was pretty mediocre, actually, based on what I heard. I mean, and Inside Out 2 had a, I don't know. I mean, I didn't love the first Inside Out, so I find it hard to believe that I would like the second one. But yeah. So, Jocelyn, I'll go ahead and go over to you for your thoughts on Hoppers.
All right. I don't even know where to begin. I think that this is when Pixar is at its best. When, sort of like with Toy Story, I've always argued that it's like it's rooted in reality, and then you get like the imaginative things that you can kind of suspend belief based around, like flying sharks, like being carried by birds and stuff like that, which was like, actually, I just got into it because I was like, this is a little ridiculous, but then I was like, no, it's fine. This is fun. So I think that that's where this movie really has that perfect balance of like being rooted in reality, but then has this like really big imagination elements, and it's just a lot of fun. I also I loved that they also had two different animations for the different animals based on whether she was an animal or whether they were like, you know, she was a person and they were animals. So basically it was like a cartoon version of the real life animal and then a real life animation of the animal, which I thought was really cool. And every time when I noticed that and it would go back and forth at certain moments, it was so nice because then it was like we were back into the adventure, and when they would be the animal again, it would be like almost heartbreaking because you knew that she wasn't like a part of their world anymore. So I thought that was really cool. I agree with you. I also really loved the use of how like technology, especially like how it ended up thwarting the villain in the end. I thought it was like super realistic, and I just thought it was like a very clean way to kind of get rid of the bad guy. A lot to say that I really liked about this movie. I thought the first 10 minutes kind of almost felt like an up first 10 minutes as far as like the montage of like you growing to really care about a character. And then I think the way that they kind of moved on from that was really classy and like done very well. And what else? Just more admiration. I really loved the mayor character. I thought he was hilarious. John Hamm was his voice. And not only the character, but then his interactions with the little girl were really funny. The montage where they're showing like all of their animosity towards each other. Like I was like, I'm on board with this. This is great. It was just hilarious. And then, like you said, some dark humor. there's one particular moment where like the whole it's a kids movie, there's kids in the theater, so the whole movie you can hear kids laughing, and then this really dark thing happens and literally the entire like adult audience like almost like yelled laughing, and it was so funny to hear just the adults like really laugh, because it was almost like all the dads that were brought to this dumb movie were like, oh my god, that was like legitimately funny, not just like dumb kid funny. So that was a really fun moment. And yeah, I think all that to say that I really enjoyed this. I think, like I said, sometimes it may be veered into a little too ridiculous, but it's a kids movie, and I just had a lot of fun with it.
And Kiko, your thoughts on Hoppers?
Yeah, I'm a little less joyful about it than both of you. So I thought it was charming. I thought there was a few laughs, but it also can't even talk today. It also fell into a storytelling trope that has become a recurring irk to me over the last few years. And one of my biggest hangups with these kind of animated movies is when one of the human protagonists spends most of the story transformed into an animal. So it's a device I thought has popped up in several movies before, like Soul, Brave, Princess and the Frog. Hoppers falls into that same blueprint. She's in the body of a fake beaver for most of the time. And so while that didn't quite irritate me as much as it did in those earlier movies, I felt like it was on the same gimmick for a lot longer than it needed to be. To its credit, though, it was self-aware. It acknowledged what it was doing. At one point, I think the characters joke about the technology and humans being able to inhabit an animal's being like Avatar. So
that was a really funny joke, actually.
It was good. So the concept, it essentially turns this movie into like an Avatar for kids or kid-friendly Avatar. Swapping out the blue aliens instead of for these forest creatures. So the environmental message, I thought it was just fine. It worked well enough to tell that type of story. So I thought it became a little bit heavy-handed, themes about protecting nature, and I thought it kind of got to the point where inevitably some moron on Fox News is going to complain that this is a woke kids movie somewhere down the line. That's just going to happen. So where this film's messaging lost me a little bit was like in this, and maybe it's just because I'm a pessimist just in general, but this more optimistic worldview, the story like kind of leans into the idea that everybody's good somewhere deep down, and that's not really true. So I really didn't understand that when they kept on mentioning that. So maybe it works again for children's storytelling, but I thought it felt a little bit too neat and tidy. So
is it because you think Mayor Jerry's a Republican? Is that the problem?
That's probably he was wearing a red tie, so no, I'm not sure if he was, but
no, it was like pink.
Yeah. So one element I did appreciate though was that it doesn't sanitize nature at all. So even in a family-friendly story, the film acknowledges that nature can be harsh. So I like when animals got squished or eaten. I like the fact that it didn't shy away from that. So when you think about something like, oh wow, in a movie like, could you imagine like Heimlich from A Bug's Life suddenly getting snatched up by a bird halfway through the movie?
Listen, Bambi's mom began
Hey,
it all.
Listen,
so
you know that
we've been through way worse.
You know that Pixar or Disney are kind of following along a blueprint. When my son, 15 minutes into the movie, my son turns to me and is like, "The grandma's gonna die, isn't she?" Like it's just obvious, right?
Well, yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah."
Well, I mean, but that's not even like. I mean, that's just like saying like the sky is blue. Like she's an old lady, so like yeah.
So yeah. Again, we'll. On that note, of course, my son picked out or he predicted that, of course, in the first 15 minutes. But what I was really good on the last,
she wasn't gonna live forever,
right? Well, you wanted her falling in. You wanted her falling in, dying by falling out of a tub or something. You're like, oh, at least they did it like with.
I just thought it was so classy the way that they just like moved on, and it was like a picture, and you could see the urn next to the picture, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. It's like a subtle way of being like, yes, the grandmother has passed,
Yeah. Well, anyway. In the last 20 minutes, I thought I was a cool dad because I leaned over to my son in the last 20 minutes and I guessed like 3 or 4 of the things were going to happen, like the plot points, and I was like, hey, this is going to happen next. He's like, shut up. And then it happens. And after the third time, he's like, have you seen this movie before? And I was like, no, you can just tell. Look what's happening. And he's like, oh, wow, okay. So I thought it was predictable.
You figured out a kid's movie.
I was literally going to be like, it's a kid's movie,
listen,
Kiko. So
a lot of things could have happened in those last 20 minutes. So
yeah, you didn't think that
like
the entire town was going to burn down and all of the animals were going to die. You didn't predict that would happen in this Pixar movie?
Well, I didn't predict that the mayor, who is like 99% evil, suddenly becomes good again because everybody's good at their...
I don't think he was evil
though. I don't think he was either. He was like he was
popular.
very ambitious. Like he was very ambitious at the beginning of the movie.
But he was lying to the people.
Guy.
He was lying to everybody.
He did lie. He put up those machines, fake trees.
But all politicians are dirty.
Right.
Basically, he's exactly what I was saying. Anyway, so Hoppers, I thought it's not a total misfire. Don't get me wrong. I've just said a million bad things about it, but I thought some of the animal side characters, I love the little lizard thing, are generally funny. And the premise, I thought, turning Avatar into a kids movie, you could do a lot worse. So I think again, the film sticks close to the formula. And it manages to be energetic enough for kids. And you're right. There's a lot of funny jokes for the parents, but it definitely isn't the best thing that's come out of Pixar in the last 10 years. I still think Inside Out 2 was better. I still think Turning Red was better. So, but like we said, it's been very inconsistent in the last 10 years with Pixar. So that's where I'm at with their new output.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into final thoughts and grades. And again, I have not seen Inside Out 2, but I believe I've seen everything else. And I do believe that this is the best thing that Pixar has put out in almost a decade. It's thoroughly entertaining the entire time. It's got it's like sweet without being like overly saccharine. It's subtle enough with its emotional beats where it's not, again, like beating you over the head with it or trying to manipulate your heartstrings by really twisting the knife of this stuff. I like its environmental message. I think the connection between the characters is great. I really like the voice acting. Again, is it one of the better animated movies I've ever seen? No. Is it top tier Pixar? No. But it is the best thing that they've done in quite some time. So I'm giving this a solid B. Jocelyn, your final thoughts and grade.
I'm just like imagining Kiko going to like children's basketball games and just like hitting down the ball because they're all like.
Hey, I'm a coach. That's what you have to do. You can't let them score.
And you're like, guys, guess what I did today? I didn't let any of the kids score. Anyway,
that's how you make them better. Ask my younger brother.
That's true. Okay, I don't know where I fall as far as like where it stands on the Pixar, scale for me. I just know that like Elio, I could barely sit through, and this was like actually an enjoyable experience. I mean, I liked Inside Out. I don't remember even seeing Inside Out 2. I think I did, but I don't think it was very memorable. But I don't know. I agree with Cody that I think this is the first time that I've been really satisfied and liked a Pixar movie in a little while. And I'm excited for Toy Story 5 because I feel like they're heading in the right direction.
In your grade?
Oh, what did you give it?
B.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. I was going to do an A-. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with it. A-.
Did you take your kids?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess you have to, right? You can't come home and be like, "Oh, I went to the movies to see it."
Can you imagine? It's a Pixar movie and I didn't take the kids.
Kiko, your final
Yeah,
thoughts.
So I just don't think it's well, I'll agree with both of you. It's not, wouldn't rank it among Pixar's most inspired efforts, but it's it's a serviceable family film with a few funny characters and an environmental message that, heavy-handed or not, it comes from a good place, and we all know how much Pixar wants us to believe in that. So I'm giving this a B-.
All right, and then we will get to our last film of the episode, The Bride! Exclamation point. That's why I said it like that. This is a film written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and it is about 1930s Chicago. Frankenstein asked Dr. Euphronius to help create a companion. They give life to a murdered woman as the bride, sparking romance, police interest, and radical social change. All right. So, where to begin here? So, this movie sort of has an interesting, let's say, setup and premise, which is that it starts with Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, saying that she has a story that she wants to tell but couldn't due to her death, and so she possesses this woman played by Jessie Buckley, and the movie is basically Jessie Buckley going back and forth between like being her own character and like being possessed by Mary Shelley. So it features a very sort of like Jekyll and Hyde kind of like back and forth that like she's in mid sentence and stream of consciousness, like switching accents and is confused, and it is a big performance. Does it work? Not really, I don't think. I think that it's a little bit over the top, and I don't necessarily blame most of the cast here, because I think that this script by Maggie Gyllenhaal is genuinely terrible, and I think it's confusing. I think it's convoluted. I think that it is heavy-handed, and I think it doesn't do any favors to its actors, which this is a big sort of task for Jessie Buckley here to kind of like switch, essentially play like two sides of one character. And I mean, she gives it her all, I guess, but I don't know that it works in, complete with complete success. This is the second Frankenstein movie within the last like 6 months, going back to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and this is
third. You forgot Stitchhead.
Stitchhead? What is Stitchhead?
Stitchhead is a kids movie.
I have no idea what that is.
Kid with stitches in his head. Come on, get with it.
All right.
You forgot Stitchhead was not what I expected Kiko to say.
Well, I said the last 6 months, and Stitchhead came out in October. So
boom.
Oh, there you go.
You're right. Although I didn't think that this was a Frankenstein movie, but they didn't get licensed for it, so it doesn't count. This is an actual Frankenstein adaptation. And I think you could not find two different takes of the movie where Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is like subtle and beautiful and thoughtful and quiet at times. This is like loud, in your face, aggressive filmmaking. It's interesting because I didn't think about this when I was watching it. But when I was reading about it, when like reviews were starting to come out, a lot of people were comparing it to Joker 2. And I actually feel like that's a really good comparison.
Yep.
Where it's not my own thought. I don't remember where I first saw it, but that's probably the closest comparison. And if you know anything about Joker 2, that's not a compliment. But the thing that struck me the most about this movie was that I think that this is genuinely the worst performance of Christian Bale's career that at least I've seen. I think he is genuinely really, really bad in this movie. I don't know why, but he's yelling a lot. He's very, very loud. This is a very, very loud version of Frankenstein compared to like Jacob Elordi's like very like soft approach. It's jarring, the difference between those two. I think I think that just like I don't have any level of believability in anything that's going on here. The dialogue feels so stilted. It feels so embarrassing to me that again, it's the dialogue is not helping the performance, but I think the performance is bad. I think the performances are bad across the board. I think both Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale are not great. I don't know what movie Penelope Cruz is in, but this is not a. She's not a convincing detective.
You crack me up.
Well, I mean, like, what is going on with that performance? Like, it's totally removed from everything going on. And Peter Sarsgaard's character is like a caricature of like a dick cop. Jake Gyllenhaal is barely in the movie and just kind of plays a little bit of a one note kind of thing. I don't like the Frankenstein is like obsessed with this actor in these dance movies and he just wants love, but also he's horny, and that's basically the driving force behind like what happens in this movie. And then this movie just kind of like decides it wants to be like a feminist movie midway through, and its feminist messaging I feel like is extremely ham-fisted and convoluted, and I don't think at all buyable or believable. I don't make the connection between how this character who nobody really knows about is just being written about in papers and stuff like that, and you don't know like anything about like motives or anything else, is creating and sparking this movement that happens that the movie wants you to believe in. So, for me, I think it just whiffs on almost every level. I don't think it looks good. I don't think that the script is good. I think that the acting is bad. I think that the messaging and the themes don't hit. And I just had a really miserable time watching this movie. I truly, truly did not like it. Kiko, I'll turn to you.
Yeah, I'll bring up the Joker 2 things as well, because I didn't read anything that said that, but you brought it up, and of course that's one of the first things I thought of as this movie was playing along. So I'll agree with that, but I'll say that because I didn't like Joker 2. You liked it more than I did, I remember.
I didn't. I fucking hated that movie.
But you liked it more than I did. I think I gave it a C-. You give it like a C, something like that. I looked back and checked.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that this movie is what Joker 2 wanted to be. That's what I think. And, I think that, it aspired to be this kind of like, and I mean, it was an ambitious movie to a fault for Maggie Gyllenhaal. It was clearly swinging for the fences. It made all these kinds of damned if you do, damned if you don't decisions, trying to make something bold and almost like operatic. And so, for me, I didn't think the movie was. It was never detestable to me. I just think it missed like a lot of the emotional depth and that was at the center of this story. So, it's reimagining this Frankenstein monster story in the lens of like this aching loneliness, which isn't far-fetched for a movie like that. But this monster is like so desperate for companionship that he seeks out this other mad scientist to create the bride, basically. So, I thought what my problem for me was like the longing that he's feeling. It never really digs deep enough into that idea and spent any time exploring like his isolation or suffering that might have made this quest for this bride that he wanted feel more tragic to me. So I thought the film also keeps to its, it doesn't show any of this information of the bride. It keeps all of this information about the bride way too hidden for too long. So like you eventually find out who she is, but it doesn't arrive until the third act. So that reveal doesn't add much weight to the story. So introducing her earlier in the film, I thought could have given the audience more time to like connect with her and the character to understand her place in this strange story. So, but I have to admit, the first 40 minutes or so, I thought it worked surprisingly well. The early stretch like set up the tone, the characters. But once Frank and I think her name, Penelope. She had like 3 names, Penelope and Ida. I don't know. Anyway, I thought as soon as they embarked on this Bonnie and Clyde style crime spree, the film began to lose its footing for me. So like that tonal shift, it felt like it was more of like it was just pulling away the attention from that emotional core that it seemed like it wanted to explore for a while. But performance wise, I thought the film was fine. Jessie Buckley, both of them do what they can with what they have. I didn't think anybody was amazingly bad, but the performances, they are over the top in a lot of the cases, and but I still think you could still sense a little bit of humanity beneath all that makeup. So the last thing I guess I'll say is like all of those interludes that are featuring Mary Shelley speaking, like I guess it was directly to the audience. I guess they're trying to frame the story with like commentary, but that ended up feeling unnecessary to me as a device, and I thought it basically just interrupted the film's momentum wherever it was going rather than enhancing it. So yeah, I'm a mixed feelings with the bride. So
all right, and Jocelyn.
Okay, do you guys want to see my impression of Jessie Buckley?
Mm-hmm.
This is Jessie Buckley. Okay, let me see if I can do it. She's always just like crooked around. She like thinks that this crooked smile thing is like acting.
You got to get your hair up. Get your hair up. Let's go.
I'm really, every time she does the crooked smile, even on the red carpet now, I just want to throw something at her. It drives me crazy. Like that does not make you an actress. Like that you have this like weird quirk. And now every time I see Hamnet too, she does the half smile and she thinks that I don't know. I think I really dislike Jessie Buckley and I'm sorry. Cause
in general or in this movie?
Because of like this movie, and then coupled with like Hamnet and seeing like everyone going crazy about her instead of Rose Byrne, which especially triggers me, I think I'm like firmly in a I detest
you have to
Jessie
see more of her.
Buckley.
You haven't seen enough Jessie Buckley.
Any more crooked smile,
I don't think she has
wild
a crooked
eyes, Jessie Buckley? No,
I don't
are
think
you
she has
kidding?
a crooked smile. In,
Now that I tell you, you'll see it in everything she does. It's like her calling card. Her calling card is this like crooked
she doesn't
smile
have.
thing.
I think what's her name has a more crooked
It's
smile
like
than
that.
her.
That's her acting. That's Jessie Buckley. It's just like this and growling. Anyway, sorry, I was just like, I've been thinking about it ever since, where I'm like, every time I see her now and I see and she only does one part, I'm like, stop it. It was a big swing by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Like you said, she swung for the fences. It was a big swing, and I'll at least give her that it was like a big swing and she really did it. But I just really could not stand this performance. I didn't detest Christian as much. I thought it was kind of like a Tom Waits Frankenstein. I thought he was kind of cool.
To me, it was more Al Pacino, just fucking
Yeah.
screaming all the time.
Yeah,
Al
I know,
Pacino
we
in
were
Devil's
bothered by
Advocate.
the screaming. But I told you, Frankenstein is a monster, so he like has trouble like reining in his emotions.
Jacob Elordi wasn't a monster.
That's what Cody said, but
Yep.
it's just a different interpretation. And I'm telling you from previous experiences with Frankenstein, he is a monster. Like look at Young Frankenstein, where he's just like yelling like constantly, like
Oh, there
every
was
sentence
some.
is
There
yelling.
was some.
And yeah,
definitely
let's
some,
talk about some Young Frankenstein,
Frankenstein,
references. Ay, what a mess. It was just a big mess. I think you said like it was going to be kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde thing, and I was picking up a lot of like Sid and Nancy type of stuff where they're like feeding into each other's like really terrible qualities and but I love Sid and Nancy. Like I really love that movie, and this just like I did not buy into the love story at all, which by the end I was like, "Oh, they really want us to like fall in love with their love." But it's like this terrible person like who resurrected her and then just like gaslit her whole life. It's just as bad as like everyone who's taking advantage of her, all the men during the rest of the movie, which is I guess the feminist element of this. But like the person
Well, you know what I
who's, like-
texted? You know what I sent you?
what did you send me?
The message that I sent you about the message.
Oh,
of the
about
movie.
like I guess men are the real monsters. It's true, but I think also that premise is like I think the movie is trying to say, except for Frankenstein, like they're in love, like even at the end when like they're resurrected and they're holding hands, and it's like no, he's just as bad as all the other men in this movie.
Yeah.
So like if it's trying to be this like feminist movie, like then it should have been her independent from him at the end, not like. Oh, they were like just Romeo and they even do they do a Romeo and Juliet line at the end, and I just wanted to like barf. I'm like, what? This isn't like romantic.
The entire premise blows that up to your point, because the whole thing is that like Frankenstein is taking an unconsenting woman and
Yes,
resurrecting her,
100%.
making her
Cody?
fall in love with her, and then lying to her that
like,
he
why
knows
is no one talking
everything.
about that? Like
Right.
literally, like yes.
Yeah.
And then don't get me started on the cheesy, like when they become part of the movies that they're watching. I just like was like,
fuck that
wow,
shit.
that was almost like, I mean, not just cringeworthy. It was like, wow, this is so bad. So there's like things like that that I just couldn't get past. Then God help me, there's like at the end, there's like a cat that they pull into frame, and he has like black, like dot, ink marks on his face, and you can tell that they like Maggie hangs on it just enough to show you like even the cat has like these markings on his face, and I was like, God, this
I think
is
that was
so
just a calico
bad.
cat.
No, it was
I'm
a
just
black
kidding.
and white one at the end. I'm like, no, don't get me started, because like it's like a beat too long, because she's like, oh, this is so cool, it's gonna be like everyone else.
That's
even
funny.
the
I
cat
didn't
has
even
the
think
black
about that.
markings. Oh, it's she hangs on that shot for way too long, because I know she thinks it's like a cool detail, and I just can't stand that type of filmmaking where it's like those details like don't add up to anything. And in fact, when you think about the premise of this movie, it's terrible, like we've already said, like not consenting corpse. And then at the end, when the women are all like standing around and she's like, I am the detective, I was like, laughable. Like, this is so bad, like really bad. And I'm just surprised because I'm hearing so I've heard so many people say 0 stars, terrible. And then I've been hearing a lot of critics who are like, I loved it. It was the best. It was so bizarre and fun. And I'm like, what movie were you watching? Because I didn't have any fun, and I really disliked this movie.
I saw some headline that alluded to the idea that it gets some stuff right that Guillermo del Toro got wrong about Frankenstein. I'm like, what single thing does it get better than that?
The thriller dance. Come on.
Oh, right.
Guillermo del Toro's movie does not have a thriller dance.
That's true.
Which I actually like the thriller dance in this one.
Was that the one where the women were lifting their crotches into the air in a circle?
Yeah, they were in the club and they did their own little version of.
Oh, okay.
The
this one was when they
choreographed
were.
Dance.
The crotch lifting one was when they had met Jake Gyllenhaal in the fancy party, and then for some reason, I guess magic, everyone started dancing together. Remember, they were almost under a spell, and all the women were in a circle and gyrating there.
Oh,
do y'all
that's
remember
right.
that? Because I was thinking to myself, how embarrassing that day or even that every day of choreography going in and having to do that motion. I would have been like, God, I'm just doing this for the paycheck at that point, because this is so bad. Wow, I don't even know. No, just such a mess.
All right, well, let's get into final thoughts and grades. So, yeah, for me, I'll keep this simple. I think this movie is atrocious. I think that there is not a thing that I liked about it. Again, poorly directed, poorly written, poorly acted. The messaging that it's trying to send gets completely undercut by inconsistencies and a lack of sort of understanding, I think, of what its main characters are doing at their core. It lets Frankenstein off the hook for so much of this, I think, and I feel like that's a weird thing, considering that this is this ham-fisted feminist story, which I think again can work. I think if you did a feminist Bride of Frankenstein, that sounds like a great idea. This is not a good version of that, and so I have nothing nice to say. I'm giving this a D. Kiko, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen plenty of movies where I literally feel embarrassed for the actors that are in it, and that just didn't happen for me here. I thought they were committed performances. I just think the storytelling is not good, and it wanders away from the themes that make it most appealing. So, I gave Joker 2 a below average C-, and for the life of me, I can't bring myself to go that low for The Bride. So, it's still a solid non-recommendation, but I'm at a C.
And Jocelyn.
I mean, I have not very many things to say about this in the positive, except that Maggie Gyllenhaal went for it, and I think she really thought she was doing something here. And it is very stylized, and it is very cool. And I know that I have a friend who's has horror friends, and they really loved it. So I think that there is some funness to the fact that it's this kind of Bonnie and Clyde romp. But for me, I was I couldn't get past the fact that it's supposed to be them falling in love, but he's just as bad as all the other people in her life who are taking advantage of her. I don't know. It just didn't I couldn't move on from that, because that was really where all of the emotion came from, was them okay, now we're rooting for them at the end, and I was never rooting for them. So I'm giving it a C.
All right. So that'll do it for this week. So we will be out next week, but we will be back the following week covering Project Hail Mary, the new Lord and Miller movie starring Ryan Gosling, and Ready or Not to Here I Come, as well as maybe something opening in VOD. We'll kind of see. If you want to reach out to us, CineSnob on all social media, CineSnob on YouTube if you want to subscribe to our channel, CineSnob.net if you want to look at all of our reviews and find all of our content. Speaking of, Kiko, is there anything to look forward to here in the next couple of weeks with interviews?
Yeah, definitely. I forgot to mention one last week. I'll mention right now, but I posted an interview I had with Doug Jones, who's
speaking of Del Toro.
Who's best known for his Del Toro roles, like playing the Aquaman in Aquaman love interest in The Shape of Water, and he also played the Pale Man and
Pan's Labyrinth.
Fawn and Pan's Labyrinth. So yeah, I got to talk with him about his new movie. Then I interviewed a director named John Burr, who made a thriller called The Gates that stars the late actor James Van Der Beek. So this is actually James's last role of his career. So I talked to the director about all the experience working with him over the last year or so. I also have an interview with Australian actress Caroline Goodall for her new sci-fi movie Storm Rider. And Caroline is best known, to me at least, as playing Oscar Schindler's wife in Schindler's List. So, and then lastly, but not leastly, I don't know if that's a word, I have an interview with the voice actor Scott Innes, who is best known for being the voice of Scooby-Doo.
Wow, pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit CineSnob.net. See you next week.